Sounds weird, doesn't it? But yeah, you wake up one morning, oh, I rolled over the wrong way last night. I've got pulled a muscle in my back. It's a part of late life. But if you approach it with the right attitude, it can actually be the best time of your life. You can still enjoy life very much. Like I said, I'm 61, but I've actually had my brush with death. 13 years ago, I had a stroke. Who'd have ever thought? Just out of the blue, one day my hand didn't want to work right, my body didn't want to behave right, I couldn't control the computer on the mouse right. Well, what's going on here? Something weird going on. Go to the doctor, they run some tests. Hey, you've had a stroke. Took me about 6 months to get back to my normal self, but I did, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it made me appreciate life. What I mean by that is, before that, I was a ball of stress. I was going through the normal daily human things that we go through, worried about work, worried about family, worried about kids, worried about this, worried about that, worried about tomorrow, stressing about what went on yesterday that I didn't do right. After the stroke, that all changed, because when I first had the stroke, they didn't know if I was getting ready to have another one or what was the cause of it, or all of these factors that were unknowns. And so I learned to focus on today. And I started living in today and focusing on today and living in this moment. And the weird thing that happened was I became internally happy with that, just from focusing on living today and making today my best life. And that internal happiness is so unique in the fact that nobody can take that away from you. When you're happy from within, it doesn't matter what goes on outside of you, you're still a happy person. And I've had people ask me, why are you so damn happy all the time? What caused that? Well, I tell them it's because I had that brush with uncertainty and with the possible end of my life. And so I became happy within, and it made me a better person. I'm a better human being. I'm more caring about others now. I try to do what I can to be a good human, and it helped me to be more complete in the person that I was meant to be. Because when I was you guys' age, I had some ideas of what I was doing, but I had a lot of fear and apprehension as well about what's my life going to end up like? What am I going to do? But I found over time that focusing on living today and making the most of today was the most important factor that I had missed for so long. Because I can't control yesterday. I don't know if tomorrow's ever going to happen. The only thing that I genuinely own is today. So if I can make use of today, then I am making the most of my life. If I'm focused on tomorrow or focused on yesterday, I just rob myself of today too, because I can't focus on it if I'm focused on all this other extraneous stuff. So when I was your age, I feared death immensely. I thought it was a long ways away, but I feared it. I don't know what's going to happen. Some people are religious and believe that we're going to die, we're going to go to heaven, we're going to have an eternal life that is unending, and hopefully it's wonderful if I'm a good enough person, if I follow the religious beliefs. But if I don't, if I screw up, well, then I could end up in a worse situation. But then there were other people that didn't have religious beliefs, and they thought you just went to nothingness, just ceased to exist. And that was probably the scariest of all. But I realized that both trains of thought required faith. I either have faith that God has always existed and created everything, or I have faith that everything just magically appeared. Both require faith, because even atheism requires faith that things just happened, and happened in this way that we now have this tremendously complex and wonderful planet in which we live. Of course, this planet is just a wee little speck of dust on it's like a grain of sand on a beach that goes on forever, because there's so many planets out there, just billions and billions of planets, and we occupy one. We've not even been to the next one. We've sent probes to the next planet, but no human's ever been to the next planet, so we don't really know what's out there. We don't really understand it. That could be scary when you consider how minuscule we are and how finite our life here on earth is. But whether you're religious or not, I've realized that I find my answers in nature. I can look at man-manipulated things all day long and get an answer for anything in any direction. There's opinions that will run the full spectrum of ideas, from various religions to secular views. But if I get out in nature, then I'm past human manipulation, and I can look at the way that the natural world works, both on a microscopic scale and on a grand scale. There's a symbiotic relationship between plants and animals and how they interact and how they behave that works. Why does it work? How does it work? It just does. Why did a stick bug evolve to look like a stick? Pretty amazing that it looks just like a stick, but it does. There's so many examples of that in nature. If you take a great horned owl, it blends in perfectly with the bark of a tree, where you can't even see it if it's just sitting still. You just cannot see that bird there. And there are plants do the same thing, that just suit their environment so perfectly. And whether you consider that to be intelligent design, the hand of God, or you consider it to be some sort of just natural selection, it's pretty darn amazing. So, yeah, I'm 61 years old. Average life expectancy for a man is 72, if you take in the entirety of humanity. But at my age, if someone's alive at my age, they're expected to live to be 85. But still, 20 years. You think, that's getting kind of close. You know, that's kind of a big deal. But I have no fear, much less fear than I had when I was younger, of death, because when I look at how life is for every other creature and species and so on in the world, I think, wow, this is awfully complex. This works awfully well together. And while I don't understand it, I think it suggests some sort of intelligent design, but where I'm not smart enough. I don't have the capability of understanding it, but I have the faith in the fact that I think my energy is going to be here somewhere in some part of all this going forward. Now, does that subscribe to a specific religion or anything of that nature? No, not really. I mean, there's all different types of, whether somebody's a Catholic or a Presbyterian or a Muslim or Jewish or whatever, Hindu. They all have different little nuances about them, but they all have the belief in a intelligent design. And when I look in nature, I see intelligent design. I see things just work too well together for me to see it any other way. But you each are free to decide for yourself what works for you. And that's important. And always remember that others are that way too. You know, everyone has the right to figure out what works for you when you're looking at the end of your life. That's a very personal decision. And it's one that has to be based on the faith and what you see and what you believe. But living for today is the biggest advice I can give you, coming from an old guy. Because being a senior citizen, I see a lot of differences in people my age. Some of them are physically active, some of them can barely walk, some can't bend over and touch the floor, or they can't get down and get back up. Me, I don't think twice. If I get on the floor, I get back up. You know, it's no big deal. But some people can't do that at this age. Some are very depressed. Some regret things they didn't do in life at this stage. Others are very happy and setting new goals at this point. There's nothing saying at 60 in the next 20 years that I can't do whatever I want to do with my life. Well, maybe I won't play for the NBA or anything like that. But, you know, normal stuff, I can do about anything I want to do. One bit of advice I give to anybody at this stage is to follow your dreams. If you have a dream, something that you'd like to try, do it. You will never succeed if you don't try it. That's the guaranteed failure. But you might just get lucky. If you put in the hard work and give it your 100% effort, you might just get lucky and live that dream. In my case, it says there I was a professional musician. I did that for 20 years. Some people thought I was crazy for continuing to pursue that, but I got to do things that a lot of people could only dream of in terms of places I got to play and things that happened to me and things I got to do. And no, never became a superstar. I was a drummer. Played in bands and did studio work and stuff, but I pursued that dream and I don't regret it for a minute. Did it keep me from doing some other things? Sure. But that was where I wanted to put my focus. And after that, I kind of fell into writing books. Someone suggested to me that I should publish something that I had written. And I actually had written that one time when I had some injured ribs, and I was kind of laid up at home for a while with injured ribs, and so I had written something, and I submitted it to some publishers and took a chance and got lucky. 6 months later, somebody called me and said, "Hey, we want to publish your book." You don't know if you don't try. And whatever your dreams are in life, don't just settle. Don't wonder what if. Go out there and chase them. So, and my books, a lot of my books are short stories that are uplifting or humorous, or they're mostly true stories about normal everyday things in life and family and stuff. So that was just what worked for me. Someone else that's a writer may choose to write science fiction, or they may choose to write romance novel or whatever. But you got to find what works for you specifically. Each one of you is a different, unique individual, and you all have the ability to do great things in life, but you got to find your niche and what matters most to you. Nowadays, as a senior citizen, I'm semi-retired. I could write another book, and I may at some point. I also flip a house every now and then because I enjoy the hands-on getting dirty work, and it's just kind of fun for me to buy an old house and give it new life. Did I realize I would do any of these things when I was your age? The musician part, yes. Writing books, flipping houses. I owned a company in Tennessee for several years that installed audio and video systems. Did I realize I would do any of those things? No.